My second strategy that I'd like to use would be using reciprocal teaching to model comprehension strategies. So, what that means is when using reciprocal teaching, you model how to use four comprehension activities, those being generating questions, summarizing, predicting, and clarifying, while leading a dialogue. So, what I kind of get from this is that you bring out a text for all the students, and you're going to kind of use these four components, such as mentioned earlier: generating questions, summarizing, predicting, and clarifying. And so this is a good way to analyze text, gain the reader's knowledge, and showing them to critically think of what the passage might be about or answer such questions of that nature. So I feel like this strategy would be very neat in the teacher workplace. So the way I'd use it as a teacher is I'd find an appropriate text. And so once you find the appropriate text, let's say it would be regarding fitness or trying to run a mile, like mentioned in the first video, only because fitness is so important in the physical education workplace. You'd want to do it by a step-by-step approach. So you have the readers kind of read the story, the students read the story. I'm sorry, and then you will then generate appropriate questions. And this is me reading off the list here. And so after you generate appropriate questions, it gets the readers kind of thinking of what the story might be about or what's important, and things like that. And the third one would be generate predictions about each selection. So this will kind of gauge them thinking what's going to go on, what can be useful to the story, what are the outcomes going to be. And then you also want to locate summarizing sentences and develop summaries for each selection. So this will kind of gauge their total understanding of the context in the whole passage. And so if it would be regarding fitness, they will probably find a lot of information showing, for example, running and exercise overall helps the heart and generates lifetime fitness or things like that. And so that would be useful for the upcoming passage. So for the last part, have you ever experienced this strategy? As a student in grade school, I have multiple times, especially in my reading classes. The steps that I mentioned earlier, those are kind of the steps we use in reading class when we're analyzing a text, especially if we're trying to gauge what's really going on in the passage. And so find texts that demonstrate the four comprehension activities, which are generating questions, summarizing, predicting, and clarifying. That's basically reading class in a nutshell. For every book, that's what we kind of do. We kind of guess while we're even reading, we predict, or we analyze, we kind of summarize the chapter after finishing it. So yeah, I have experienced this strategy plentiful of times, and yeah.